We're keeping warm. I wanted to show you a little trick that I did this morning. I have a situation where I had to count the number of weeks in a file. And let me show you what I mean. Um, I had Let's see here. Okay, so this is just a common mark file. That's why they got all ones here. This gets all turned into HTML or PDF or whatever. And I'm like, God, I wish I could have these numbers over here added up automatically for me so that I could just put it down here. And I was like, I think I feel a filter coming on. A Unix filter is a program that accepts standard input, does something, and then replaces every line of input with some sort of output and potentially adds more output to it. So the filter that I'm planning to make is one that will filter each line, look for parentheses around the number and then the word week or weeks, and it will actually add it together and it will give me a total, and then it'll add the total to the bottom. So this is kind of a fun little tool to make, and it allows you to, instead of having to reach for a spreadsheet or something, you can actually just write it. It's one of the reasons that Bash terminal skills are so powerful. It's also the reason that you don't need a lot of plugins in VI, because any shell script you could ever write can be better than any plugin. So let's get to it. If we get first thing we need to do is I'm splitting up a tmux window. I'm going to split the tmux window in half, and I'm using my own custom things for that, but I'm just splitting it in half. And I'm going to make a file that's going to be my test file. So we'll just say, something like some line, another with weeks, about 3 weeks, one with 1 week. We got to make sure we have a non-plural in there. Maybe a blank, something. And finally, so like how about this, 5 weeks. All right, so we want to have that count up all those things, right? And actually, let's make one that's got like less, like got space on the end of it, or something, other words on it, just in case we want to really isolate that down to that one thing. So that's our test file, right? And then let's actually start writing the code. So I've got a little script that, hey, how's it going? I have a little script that makes a new script. If you want to see it, here's what's in it. This is a script that makes a new script. So in my scripts directory, so I don't have to deal with it. So I'm going to do new x. Actually, there's already one there. So we're going to do new x count weeks. So this is my new filter script. It's going to be very minimal. Already exists, yeah, because I already did it. But do I want to edit it? No. So I guess I have to remove it. Let's just call it count. How about that? Which count? Do I have a count? No. Okay, let's do a new one. Let's do a new one. It's called count. So that way, if I screwed up, I can go look at another one. New x count. So this makes me a new script and gets me all started. And we need to, every filter has to be able to read input, standard input. And there's a standard way to do this. You have to just memorize this. So you do well ifs equals read-r line do done. That is the recipe for reading from standard input safely. The IFS is the input record file separator, which you just make it to blank so that normally it would use spaces or something like that. If you do that, it'll read each line, even if it has spaces. If you don't do that, it's not quite as nice. The read-r line tells it not to do. You can look this stuff up, by the way. You just do help read. It'll show you, whoops, help read pipe to more. And so there you have read, and it has everything it does here. But you can see -r is do not allow backslashes to escape characters. You want the actual stuff. You don't want escapes in this case. And so let's close that. All right. So that's just a standard thing to do. So what are we going to do now? Now we need to just for grins, let's just do this. Let's just say echo line. Now make sure you put quotes around line and echo, or it won't do the line return properly. This is the minimum necessary. What's this going to do? Well, let's go run it. All right. So we're going to say count, and we're going to feed it the file temp_foo. So now it just prints out all the lines, right? And we're going to be wanting to do that a lot. So let's do another little shell script. It's very easy to write and remember that it's going to run this, what we just did for us automatically every few seconds. Now you can add a little bit to what I'm about to do and have it detect when the file changes and then only run it when it changes, but that's a different project. So let's just do the easy one. So you can just write a little monitor test, unit test monitor here. You can say while true, which is forever, do count temp_foo. And let's actually clear the screen first. And then we can sleep for a second. How about we sleep for 3 seconds? We don't need to really wait that long. I want to go crazy here. If you don't do that, it'll be hard on your computer. So then click done, and that's our little loop. This is, by the way, the reason that I use bash for my scripting, and I use bash for the command line, because everything I learn on the command line is bash. They're the same. Anytime you execute any command from the command line, you're writing code. People don't know this. They call it a one-liner, but it's just a terminal. An interactive REPL terminal is code. So we're going to run that. And now we see what it does. So if I change this, if I say line like this, it'll automatically change it and update it. Every 3 seconds, it'll give me a new version of it. So I can interactively run the test in a tmux pane while I'm checking my regular expression and stuff. And that's the reason I'm doing it, because I'm going to be tweaking the regex as I go, and it's kind of annoying to go back and forth. So we're just going to leave that running in that window. So then we go back, and we'll leave line in there for now, just for fun, right? Just to kind of keep us, we can change it all later. But what do we want to do? So we want to extract this piece out of that. Hey, how's it going? So we want to extract this out. So welcome to regular expressions, lads, right? So we need to check that. So good old double brackets in bash. You should never use anything but double brackets. And if you don't understand why, do the research to understand why. The short answer is double brackets do not do dangerous expansion of any kind. People use single brackets in bash because they don't understand secure shell scripting. The reason double brackets were added to bash was to remove the completely unsafe double brackets from POSIX shell. They're totally unsafe, and if you don't understand why, make sure you understand that. It's really critical. So I'm not going to rant more about that. So this is also why we can write a raw regular expression here. Okay, and you get what I'm about to do, you can't do in POSIX. Another reason to use bash. So we're going to say this. We want this line to match a week that has the word week in it, right? And we can actually even test this. Oops, I have an error. So, because there's nothing in here. If you want to fill it with something and you want it to still work, that's what's called the, what's it called? I think the null operator. All it does is it just makes that line a valid line, so your code still works if you're just kind of wanting to hold on to it. But we can move this line here for now. So now it's only going to echo lines that contain the word week. So already you have something that's kind of useful, right? But that's not what we want. We're getting there. No matter what, we want to print the line. We really just want to count the stuff in the line. Now you might be writing another filter another day that you want to like filter out the stuff and delete things. There's like lots of different things you might want to do. But in this particular case, we want to get that week. So let's play with this. So again, back to the only printing out the weeks that have it in it. But we don't really want the whole line, do we? We just want this week part, right? Well, more than that even, we want that week part that has the numbers in it. And I'm just noticing now that our test doesn't have anything with more than one number. So let's do this one has 25 weeks in it. So we need that too. So let's go close that. And now we've got, now it's got 25. Okay. So what we really want is we want to have something that has a number. So let's put a number there. Well, the way you do a number is in regex, you'll have to learn this, but then this is extended regular expressions, not basic. There's three primary types of regular expressions. Basic, extended. Basic is what sed uses. That's why I don't use sed. Sed is like really broken and old and busted. And you could use sed. It uses basic regular expressions. You can use extended regular expressions, which is what bash and most everything else grep uses and stuff by default. or you can use Perl regular expressions, which are the most powerful, the basis of PCRE, which is a library that's in every other language, including JavaScript and Python, every language, Go. They all use PCRE, which are Perl compatible regular expressions, which set the standard. So anytime somebody says something bad about Perl, just tell them, well, Perl did give us the international standard for regular expressions. So there you go. And here we go. What else are we going to do here? So we have a number. So it still matches, right? Now, it would be nice to know what it's matching, right? So instead of echoing the line, let's echo the line, but let's also echo what it matched. And that's a special long-winded variable called bash rematch. So we're going to do bash rematch. And 0 tells us exactly what it matched. See this? So this is on the single line. It shows us what it matched. And we see that it didn't get all of the 25. It only got the 5. So we have to add a plus to that. So we're going to add a plus to that. And now it's got the 25 weeks. The plus means 1 or more, right? The star asterisk means 0 or more. But you can write that lots of different ways. I don't want to break down all of regular expressions right now. Just look into it if you want to understand extended regular expressions. That's what we're using. So we also want to make sure that it doesn't match anything. Actually, let's add something else to our test case. Let's add some numbers that we want to be false failures, right? We want to have another 33 weeks here. We don't want this line to match. That should be an error, right? We should not have that line matching. You see, it still grabs it though, right? So we need to isolate it. We need to say, okay, I want it to be brackets. But when you put it in brackets in regex, you're like, what? It's not matching it. And that's because the regex parentheses have special meanings, so we put a slash in front. And that means it turns it into a regular parenthesis. And that should eliminate only the ones that don't have it, right? And also, it also did something else that's bad. It eliminated the one that has weeks in there, right? Because we put that in there, it broke it. And now we don't have the one that has week in there. So we want one that has week or weeks. So we want to put a question mark after the S that says I can have 0 or 1 weeks. S is in that. And that matches them both together. So that's all matched, and it looks like it's matching everything that we care to have it match. But how do we get to the numbers? Well, that's where it gets kind of fun. So then we can use the parentheses for what they're intended to be used for. We can put the parentheses around the number part, right? And nothing's really fancy so far, but now we can just echo weeks. How about this? And we'll put another special variable. It's rematch 1. And this is, by the way, in any regular expression notation, the 0 is the whole entire match, and 1 is the first parenthesized match, etc. And you'll see down here it counts. It says, okay, we got 21, we got 1 there. But what we want is the whole total of them. That means we have to do some math, which again is better in bash than anything else. And so we can say weeks equals 0. You can declare it differently if you want to properly declare it, but that's good enough. And now we have weeks. Let's add them up, right? So instead of doing that, let's do this. Let's say weeks plus equals bash match, right? So now we have this variable, and after our whole loop is done, we can echo just the weeks. So we can say total weeks, right? And save that, and now we get, it should do the total. There we go. We have a total of 29 weeks. So let's check our math. You can only do integer math in bash, and that's the way it should be. You should not be doing floating point math in your shell. I'm going to say that again. It's a super big, bad thing. And it's one of the things that's most broken in Z Shell. Z Shell tries to give you the ability to do floating point math, and then somebody tries to run your Z Shell script on a POSIX shell script environment because it looks like it's the same, and it doesn't do floating point, and you have really massive, horrible errors. Moral of the story, do not do floating point math in bash or shell or bash or anything. If you're going to do floating point math, use another scripting language or use BC. BC is a very, very robust tool that's built into every Unix distribution and Linux distribution on planet Earth, including BusyBox, which is the smallest. And you can use that for your shell scripts and get very accurate floating point. And it even has precision. So you can use that for your floating point math. So a big warning there. But we're just doing integers, so we're good. Most of the time we are just using integers. We don't care about the rest. So we have what we need. Now, let's go back to removing all this other debug stuff. Let's always echo the line because we want to do that, right? And now we have this file. We could put another space there. And now this is our file, and it transforms our file and adds a line at the bottom that counts all our weeks and puts them there. Now, how do I use this from VI? So I got this new cool count script. How do I use it from here? So I've got this really long-winded thing here. What we wanted to do is put the total down here. So we go to the top of it and we use the filter command in shell, which is the exclamation point. So we use exclamation point, I'm sorry, in VI, and then we say I want it to go to the end of the section, which is my fingers know it. It's right curly bracket. So you do a right curly bracket, and you get what you could have typed down here. This is the X command that it could have typed. VI is visual mode for X, in case anybody was wondering, and X is the extension of ed. So you can make the argument that VI is the standard Unix editor. And now we can just type in our command. You can tab complete it if you want, and you run that. And then we can go down to the bottom of our thing, and we see that it inserted at the end a total of 34, right? So if I were to change it in any way, I can just run it again, and it will change it and give me a new total. So that is the use of a filter. This is how you make it. It shows you how to do interactive testing using tmux windows. And I hope you noticed that I didn't use anything that doesn't come with Unix and Linux. I used nothing more than Bash, which is a default shell. I used Vim, which is the default editor. I used tmux, which comes on most systems and is pretty much considered standard. And I just used basic filters and command lines. I didn't use any awk. I didn't use any sed. I didn't use any cut. I didn't use any of those other things. Thank you for the link to the Unix philosophy. This little video that I've done is an example of doing Unix and Linux properly, doing it the Unix way, the way that the people who designed Unix designed it to be used so that it would be modular. The thing that's really cool about this, and I want to show this before I leave, is that I can now use this anywhere, not just in VI. If I had done a Lua plugin for NeoVim, or if I had done a plugin for Vim at all in VimScript, I couldn't reuse this filter command. So let's say, let's use our new cool command on something that might matter more to you. So you've got this command, you wrote this little thing, you're like, oh, I just wrote this one-off thing. Well, guess what? Now you have a new thing in your arsenal of tools to be able to link together with anything else, right? So let's say you just, you have somebody else sends you a document and they happen to follow the same format, or maybe you agree with your friends to say, hey, just make sure you put parentheses in the word and the words number and weeks on the line, and our filter script will use it. You share your filter script with your friends. You hand it to them through email or whatever, and then they can do anything. They could say, they could even do math, like if they wanted to right now, they could just run count and then feed it whatever, whoops. We could do this. You could, well, I'm shooting for the breeze here. Or actually, you could just do temp foo, right? We already did it. That was what we did for our test. But if somebody says, 10 weeks, if someone says something like that, you can run it from the command line and just do that. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that it doesn't have to be in Vim. People that use Vim technologies and things like split screens and Vim scripts and stuff like that, when they could have done it as a shell script, handicap themselves because they cannot use their script in another way. They can't combine it. The thing that's really cool is because these are all linking up standard in and output, you can chain them together with the bar command. So, you could do echo, I'm just messing, tweet 23 weeks, and you can pipe that in to count, right? But whoops, I forgot my single quote. So, I could have done, let's try printf, because printf lets you put line returns, right? So, I mean, this isn't a really practical example, but it is, I hope you get the point. So you could say another 10 weeks, and that should do it. There we go. Whoops, I got 23 weeks that time. I don't know. I don't think the line returns are working in printf. Oh, they did. Okay, there we go. So So it combined it. So what I'm saying is you can pipeline everything, and that's what people normally do. Yeah, and you could curl this and pipe it to count. Yes, you could curl down other stuff. Oh wow, yes. Oh, let's do that. So here we have a link address. So let's curl down a link address. Let's see what's there first. So here we have that. This is from the internet. This is from our friend on the internet. So we can pipe that, and now we can pipe that off to count. And I get the total number right there. Could I have done that if I had done it with VimScript? No, because it's not the Unix philosophy. The Unix philosophy is to make small, usable things that do one thing well and integrate. And that's the total Unix philosophy. People leave off the second part of the philosophy. They often just say it does one thing well. It's not that. It's actually they do one thing well and it integrates with other things. And that's the definition of a Unix filter. A filter that takes input and produces output, sometimes just transforming those lines as it goes, sometimes doing other things to it. So that's the end of this video. And, join me on Twitch, artofxrob.tv, if you want to come over there and work on stuff live. This is Sunday today. We're doing AMA on Sunday, and we do podcasts on Sunday. On Saturday is beginner day. So all day Saturday is beginner day when I'm on. We have like 4 or 5 hours of content, and we'll be doing beginner boosts and all that stuff. So come on by and check us out. Have fun with our community. Thanks, Og, for the help today. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video.